Good evening and welcome to the Talk Right podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Stennett, and sorry for that technical glitch. We did it again. We tried to do something new and it didn't work. Tonight, we've got a really, really big show, and I don't mean that in any other way other than we got a whole lot of people here. Nick, why don't you take over and introduce our guests for us?
All righty, I will do my best, and we're going to give everyone a little chance to tell us a bit about what they've been up to writing-wise, but in a nutshell, we have Jack Harden, author of the Ellie O'Connor Brian Savage thriller series. 1 second, I had something talk to me. There we go. We have Nicholas Harvey, author of the A.J. Bailey Adventure series and the all-new Nora Summer Caribbean Suspense series. Paul Mila, author of the Minetta Mystery Adventure series set in Cozumel, as well as several children's books starring sea turtles. We have Douglas Pratt, author of the Chase Gordon Tropical Thrillers and the Max Sawyer novels. Armand Rosamilia, the Dirty Deeds series, as well as countless standalones and some extremely successful horror novels. A.J. Stewart, author of the Miami Jones Florida Mysteries, John Flynn Thrillers, and Diane Castle Mysteries. Sorry about the traffic. And Thomas Turner, author of the Charlie Clifford Palm Beach Mysteries, the Nick Janzik Charleston Mysteries, as well as a new series set in Savannah and several standalones. I did it.
Yes, you got them all.
Nice job.
let's I'm still doing something here. So Tom, what happened with you today? Or yesterday, was it?
Well, I was out driving around on 4th of July, fireworks going on, and suddenly I got slammed in the side of my car. I lost a tooth, fat lip, which is diminished, but I'm fine, and I'm here, and I'm happy to be with you guys.
I'm glad to hear that you're not all the worse for wear.
I'm fine.
What, did the airbag do it to you?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. More harm than good.
I'm imagining, AJ, if you'll unmute there, people are probably looking at what's behind you and are wondering where you are. Can you tell us?
Can I say I'm at home? No. No, I am sitting in the Shipyard Bar and Grill, which is a lovely establishment. If you ever find yourself in Spanish Wells in the Bahamas, part of the Eleuthera Islands, it's a stunningly gorgeous place. Even on a fairly cloudy day, there's no such thing as a bad day in this part of the world.
Excellent. I've visited Eleuthera a couple of times, and that whole area is just gorgeous. There's so many little holes you can hide in, and it's just really pretty.
We went walking on a sandbank yesterday. That must have been a mile long way. So it was, it's a stunning area, it really is.
I guess while we're on the topic, let's go back to Tom. Where are you, Tom? You're in West Palm Beach, right?
I'm in West Palm Beach. I'm looking at my window at the Intercoastal, and there's no Elsa in sight or even the slightest breeze or rain. So
yeah, we're coming to you live from all over the world here. Nicholas Harvey, where are you and what's going on?
I'm in Key Largo, where Elsa was supposed to give us a pretty good tickle, and it's done nothing but a heavy breeze so far. It's cloudy, but it hasn't even rained really since first thing this morning.
Well, that's awesome. Let's see, who else is in Florida? Armand, you're in Florida, right?
Yep, I'm up here in Jacksonville, Florida.
So we got the Bahamas, we got Key Largo, we got Jacksonville,
West Palm.
Let's see. Jack Harden, you're out in Texas, right?
Mountain, Texas, about to transplant over to South Florida.
You're going to love Naples, dude.
I am. You
know, some of the best fishing. Oh, man.
We're in my oldest. I've got 5 kids. My oldest is 17. I promised him a little John boat. We're going to get him out in the backwater and teach him how to fish. So I'm excited about it. You know, we've got a lot of lakes around here. The Army Corps of Engineers has done a good job with as many people are in the Fort Worth Metroplex. Done a lot of good work on the lakes around here. So there's a lot of lakes, but
Nothing like nothing like the
the
Gulf.
ocean. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of our families down there, so we're looking forward to it.
Now, Paul Mila, I see palm trees in your background, but they're not moving. Is that a still picture?
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm back in Long Island, New York right now. I just got back from Cozumel on Saturday. But the scene behind me is a photo from my balcony of my beachfront condo down there. And I wish I was down there right now, but had to get back home. But that's my favorite place to be. And that's where I do a lot of my writing and get my inspiration.
So you were there on a dive trip?
Yeah, actually a little bit of a test trip. I had shoulder surgery a few months ago. And so this is my first time back in the water since the pandemic also. But it was kind of a test to see how the shoulder stood up, but it did fine. So I'm hoping to get back down in the water as soon as I can.
What sites did you dive?
This time it was Santa Rosa Wall and Paso de Cedral, the Cedral Pass.
Oh, that's
So,
beautiful.
Good wall dive
Something-
and a nice drift dive.
Something our viewers may not realize is Wayne Stennett here used to be a dive master on Cozumel.
Oh, really?
Wilma.
Yep, Barracuda.
Oh, Barracuda. Okay, well, down where the hotel is. Yes, the Barracuda Hotel. Okay.
Back when the airplane was still at the bottom back there
Yeah.
behind the hotel.
Did you ever come across Allison Dennis, Scuba with Allison?
No.
Okay.
When were they there?
Okay. Well, she's still there. I mean, but she's.
Oh, okay.
I met her back in 1999 when I first got introduced to diving down.
I'm talking late 80s, I think. 89, 90.
No, she was probably down there in the mid 90s when she first started down there.
And we got Douglas Pratt. Where are you at?
Well, I'm actually in Memphis, Tennessee, so nowhere near the water right now. So, yeah. But we, I do, you know, we have like Jack said, we've got a lot of lakes and stuff up here. I've got, you know, keep my boat on the Tennessee River, which I'm, you know, looking forward to taking it down to the Gulf into this year. So.
And there's something about Tennessee and tropical authors. I mean, you're there.
It
Don
is.
Lee McKenna's there. David Barron's is there. I'm from there. Cap Daniels is from there.
Yeah.
There's just something. I think we just want to go to the water really bad.
We do. We need the water. It's nowhere close.
Well, there's so much of it in the air with the humidity.
Yeah, it's about 87% right now today. So.
And Nick, you're at home in New Jersey, although it looks like you've got flamingos behind you.
Yeah, I've attempted with some little shore dive rocks to have my little Bonaire back there.
And those two flamingos, that's Boone and Emily.
That's correct.
And of course, I'm in the Down Island, no, not the Down Island Press Studio,
Where are
the Talk
you?
Right Podcast Studio in Beaufort, South Carolina. And we're expecting Elsa on Wednesday to make landfall here, according to several models. But we'll see. So, are we going to talk about hurricanes or are we going to talk about books?
Let's talk about
Let's
books.
do books.
Let's do books with hurricanes.
Ooh.
Okay, who's had a hurricane in their book? Just raise your hand. I have. I know Jack has. And
Oh,
Paul, of
Harvey, get
course.
on it.
Yeah, you got-
Deliberately avoided it because all you guys had it. You've done it.
well, you can't avoid it when you're writing tropical thrillers. You have to have an occasional hurricane.
Yeah,
I've
I've
had-
had mention of them, but I haven't actually had a story based around one. I think it's due.
I had Hurricane Irma absolutely destroy Jesse's Island 3 years ago, and the hurricane actually crossed over that island. Steve Becker was down there just last week. He said it's all grown back up. It's just like nothing had ever happened.
I used a hurricane from some history back in the 1700s that sunk one of the Spanish galleons, and that was in this book of Near Miss. And it was, you know, part of the history of the story and kind of a super flashback as far as what happened to a treasure that was on board the ship, and was part of the backstory for the book.
I did the same thing in Fallen Mangrove. that was originally supposed to be Fallen Coconut. I'm glad I changed that.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No.
Fallen Coconut sounds like a Carl Hyacin book, actually.
It would be.
Or a good cocktail.
That's how Skink lost his eye, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
It might be a good murder mystery. You just cave someone's head in and then put a coconut next to them and run away.
Yeah, that's not a
I
bad
like it.
idea. Where's my note?
Oops.
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's make sure we get everyone, because a few of these I don't know, and I'd like to know a little bit. Can everyone tell us a little bit? Don't take too long because there's so many of us, but tell us a bit about your core series. Jack, you've got two. You can tell us a little about both of them: the Ellie O'Connor suspense series and the Ryan Savage thriller series.
Yeah, sure. So in both series, when you're a writer, I think that you guys will all probably agree that you probably gravitate, if you have more than one series, you probably gravitate more one toward another. And over the last year, I've just kind of found myself in Ryan Savage's world. But the world I like the best is the Ellie series. It's what it's kind of what baptized me into the writing world. I love the series. I usually try to create a lot of complex characters. I try to create a lot of subplots. And so I love it. It's set in Pine Island, which is in Lee County. They're right off of Cape Coral. It's the largest island in Florida. And I love the area. When I first started writing, we went down to see family in Naples, and I drove up there, and I just learned a lot about the area, visited a lot of areas. And so it's been fun to set local businesses in the actual books. And I've really come to love that area. I love the characters. And so I'm working on the seventh book right now. The first 4 books of that series, I kind of took some inspiration from Don Lee McKenna and did a 4-book story arc. That kind of ties up in that 4th book. And so it's just been fun to write. The Ryan Savage series, they're just a little bit quicker reads. They're about 50,000 words. They're just a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, a little bit more action. And so gotten good response from both of those, but just enjoy writing. It's what I do full time. I was in sales for many years, and 3 years ago I was able to do this full time. And so I've got a family to support and been able to do that, and just incredibly blessed to do this full time and write stories that I like, and amazed that anybody else likes them as well.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to just go in alphabetical order here. Britnick, as I call him, Nicholas Harvey. Can you tell us a bit about the AJ Bailey Adventure Series and the thing you just started with some new books?
Sure, we can talk about that. So, AJ Bailey is a female, and people ask me, why did you write from a female's perspective? I don't know. I really don't know why it started that way. The first book I wrote is called 12 Mile Bank, and it put together everything I was kind of really interested in, which was scuba diving, World War II diesel submarines, and this kind of tough female who seemed like just a normal dive master, but she certainly doesn't have super skills or anything, but she's just rises to the challenge when it happens. So I wrote that first book, and because I always wanted to write a book back in this was 2017. I wrote it when I was still working full-time in NASCAR racing. And then a couple of years later, I was like, I kind of really enjoyed doing that. I'd like to do some more of it. And so it grew, and just released the 10th book in that series, because I never intended it to be a series. But then it became one when I wrote the second book and decided to stay with AJ as a character. So they're all based in the Cayman Islands, but they have a lot of historical in the storyline and geographical stuff. So I often do split timelines where there's a story going on in a different timeline, and the stories all join together at some point. And then the new series is the Nora Summer series. So Nora was a character that showed up in book 4, and she's Norwegian, and she's an interesting character with a bit of a dark background that has an unfortunate incidents happen with her, and she just turned out to be such a cool character that she kind of took on a life of her own. So when I decided to do a Splinter series, I didn't intend to write another female series, but I did. And then I did a project with you guys, which I don't know if we're going to talk about later. I won't say anything. And I wrote in first person, and on that project, and I enjoyed it so much, I decided I was going to write the Nora Summer series in first person. So I'm a 19-year-old Norwegian blonde, and as you can see, and but it's I actually love writing in first person. It's really cool, and especially for the Nora character that doesn't say very much. She's very dry, so she thinks a lot and doesn't say very much. So first person is perfect for her.
It's sometimes difficult to write in first person, but it is a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. I had to, in the book I'm writing now, which I'm almost finished with, which is the first book. There's a novella out in the Nora Summer series, but the first book will come out in September, and I'm just finishing it now. And you have to switch from first to third person when you're with the other characters, just to continue the story. You can't. I couldn't stay in first person the whole time because it's only her perspective. And I had to switch into third for the others, but it's worked out really good. A nice balance, I think.
Cool. Well, Paul, let me, I should first mention, I met Paul Mila at the Beneath the Sea Diving Convention
Right.
in Secaucus, New Jersey. And I was like, wow, he's got his stuff together here. Look at all these books. He's got his signs and everything. And I'm so glad he's a part of it. Oops, I'm going to turn off. Here comes police.
They're coming for you, Sullivan. Finally.
Tell us about the Banana Mystery while I mute.
Okay, well, in real life, I used to be a corporate economist, so I used to do a lot of writing. I always enjoyed writing. But when time came to kind of bail out, I kind of coincided with discovering scuba diving down in Cozumel, Mexico. And the dive instructor down there was a very interesting young lady who said that she left her home in California, but wouldn't say why, and she wanted to start her life over again. So I thought, okay, we have scuba diving, which I've grown to love, and you have all these real life adventures that you get to experience underwater. A very interesting protagonist, female protagonist, who I could invent an even more probably or fictionalize an interesting background, which I found out later, even though I thought I was fictionalizing a background, I kind of hit a few points dead on accidentally. And that became the core of my, what became the Minetta Mystery Series. I hadn't intended to write, it's become 5 books now. I hadn't intended to write 5. I thought one might be one and done, but 1 became 2, 2 became 3, 3 became 4, as I had more adventures. And I also met more characters, which I think if all of us diving in the Caribbean or wherever we dive, we come across the most amazing characters that anybody could experience. And they become very interesting people to add into your books. It almost makes it easier to not really invent them, but to write about them because they're very interesting people. And so that became the core of the series, which I've enjoyed writing, and have a 6th one kind of in the works, not finished yet. But as I said, I never intended to do a whole series, but they just kind of kept coming out as I met more people or situations came up, and I said, that could be an interesting story. Every book I wrote, I thought would be the last one, but then something would happen. I said, that's an interesting story behind that. And you'd meet somebody who kind of goes along with the story, and before you know it, you're off writing again. So I love writing. It's been something I've enjoyed doing, and meeting incredible people, not just underwater, but for example, Nick and other people I've met through the writing, which is an unplanned benefit I hadn't even counted on, but it's really been an amazing experience. And so that's pretty much it. And then the last thing I'll just say is that at BTS Beneath the Sea, I met some people from Best Publishing who wanted to do a children's series. And that became Harry Hawksbill. I don't know if that could even show up with the original background, but it's a children's series. They're using my underwater photography to tell a story about Harry Hawksbill, this amazing sea turtle who has all these adventures with Gracie Green Turtle in the 2nd book and Larry Loggerhead in the 3rd book, always involving Harry Hawksbill as he goes through his series of adventures for children aged 3 to 9. So that's been an entirely different, swing of things, but it's been a great break and something new to kind of delve into. So between that and the adventure series. I've been having the time of my life, so it's really a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, Doug, you just had a book come out, I believe. Was it last month?
Yes, back on June 15th. Yes.
So tell us a bit about the Chase Gordon Tropical Thrillers.
So Chase Gordon is he's kind of like your retired Marine who decided he wanted to, similar to Jesse, I guess, kind of run off to the Keys, but he works part-time as a bartender, lives on his boat. He has a 40-foot tartan that he lives on in West Palm Beach when he's not cruising around, and just kind of finds himself in trouble here and there whenever, things come up. So my last book just came out back in June called Deep Gold. It was probably it was the most fun I've had writing one. It's a lot about Nazis and lost gold. It was a treasure hunt, basically, where, Chase gets to go around and killing Nazis. And to me, that was like the most fun I could have ever writing. All of them are written kind of like Wayne and Nick said, they're in first person, which to me is so much fun to write. It just helps me kind of get into it, and I can stay on top of it, writing just constantly, and it's one of the best things I've done. So
cool. Let me keep.
Douglas, are you a Marine?
I am not. No.
Oh, okay.
But
I mean, you write about a Marine, so I thought, well, maybe he's another one.
No, yeah, no, I don't.
Armand, what can you tell us about the Dirty Deeds series?
Oh, let me pour some more rum into this cup here.
Oh, well, yeah, you need that.
Dirty Deeds is a James Gaffney. It's a crime thriller series. So the main character, James Gaffney, is paid lots of money to kill children. But in reality, instead of killing the children, he saves them. And he basically puts them in a better life. And so that was kind of the premise of the story. Book 9 just came out June 15th, and I'm working on book 10 now. So every fifth book, because it's in first person, every fifth book is in the head of another character. So which is interesting to write, because for 4 books I was in James Gaffney's head, and then I basically pick one of the side characters, and I do. So the 5th book was in his assistant Marissa's, and it was a cozy mystery. And the 10th book is in the former FBI agent Reggie Keene, and it's a noir crime thriller. So I try to mix up the subgenre and the characters, and it's all set here in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, but he's gone to Brazil, he's gone to Philly, to Boston, he's gone to New Jersey. There's the family, which is the Jersey mob. I grew up in Jersey, so a lot of family members in that one. And so so basically that's the idea. And then I'll have a new thriller series called First Coast Thrillers that will come out in January, and it ties in loosely with the Dirty Deeds. You might see some of the same minor characters going back and forth between the two, but I'm excited. That'll be a 6-book series. They'll all come out next year, and we'll kind of see what happens with it.
Let me go to the Bahamas. And AJ, can you tell us about Miami Jones?
I can. Miami Jones is a mystery series set out of West Palm Beach in Florida. He lives on Singer Island, actually, on and off. And it's a mystery series I've been writing for about 10 years now. I don't know, 3 or 4 series now, and it's the longest running and the most popular. Funny you guys are talking about writing in first person, because it's all first person, and it's first person just comes perfectly natural to me. I have another series that I write in third person and find that more challenging. That's why I do it, because I like to be challenged as a writer. But the Miami Jones series really came about. I moved from, as you can pick up the accent, I'm not a Floridian, although I'm not really sure how many real Floridians there are in the world. Everybody in Florida seems to be from New York or New Jersey, or Quebec, as it happens. But I moved to the United States 20 years ago and found myself in Florida about a decade ago, and just started to go to beachside places, beachside bars, that kind of place, and just met people who, I hate to use the phrase salt of the earth, but these people were just really genuine people. And some of them were extremely rich and some of them were not rich at all. And they all had this thread amongst them all of just being really casual, engaging, interesting people. And I just got the idea. I wanted to write a mystery series, but I wanted to write it about characters who were the kind of people that if you sidled up to a Florida bar, you'd want to sit next to them, share a beer, and just listen to their stories for the rest of the evening, because those were the people that I got to meet when I was there. And so that's what that series is based around. There's mystery, there's action, there's adventure, there's all those good things. But it was really about the characters for me, those Floridian, down-to-earth, just great people that you meet. And, you know, Paul mentioned it with, you know, diving and those kinds of people. Those are the same kinds of people. They got interesting stories to tell, you know, and they're just great people to hang around with. So that was really the genesis for that story, that series. I've been writing it for 10 years. Just released book, 14 out in all the stores. There's a 15th that's exclusively available from my publisher, but there's no end in sight with that series, because every now and then I go back and spend time with those people and I enjoy every minute of it. So apparently so do the people who enjoy reading it. So that makes it worthwhile. It's awesome.
And Tom, you have some amazing locations. I imagine you know these coastal towns very well. The Charlie Crawford Palm Beach Mysteries is extremely popular from everything I've seen, but I've really been intrigued by these Charleston and Savannah books. Can you tell us a bit about all of them?
Yeah, I've lived in all three and many other places. I can't seem to settle down. But now I'm back in the Palm Beach area. I'm looking across at Palm Beach right now, across the Intercoastal. I can't afford to live there, so here I am in West Palm, very happily. And my Palm Beach books are about a guy named Charlie Crawford, who's a New York homicide cop, burns out at age 37, heads on down to this Sunshine State, where he's gonna drink margaritas all day long in the Keys and live the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle. And after about a week of listening to guys in Hawaiian shirts, and I love yours, AJ, ooh and ah, pretty average sunsets and duding each other to death, he wants out. So he shotguns his resume out. Palm Beach makes him an offer, and that's where he ends up. So he's chief homicide cop in Palm Beach. Well, Palm Beach, as you all probably know, is not murder capital USA. But if you sell it and if you write convincingly about murders, then people buy it. People believe that it actually happened. I think the last murder in Palm Beach was 19 years ago. But so far, I've killed off 10 people, maybe 12, and going on 13 and 14 in my next novel. So that's what I write about. That's my primary novel, series, I should say. The other two are set in Charleston and Savannah, where I also live.
Yeah, Donnelly McKenna does the same thing in Apalachicola. There hasn't been a murder there in decades.
Yeah.
But there's in 14 books, she's killed about 20 or 30 people.
All you got to do is convince the reader that it could have happened.
Yep. Let's see. Devin Goodwin on YouTube is asking a question, and we'll just go right around just like we did with the book descriptions, and everybody can answer this. What do you find the biggest challenge in writing novels set in the Caribbean?
For me right now, it's getting
I'll
there.
say I'm sorry. I'm sitting in it, and that was the hard bit. It's getting there. But the other bit is having to do all this research and having to go to all these places and really understand them and spend all these hard times sitting in Caribbean type places. I like to suffer for my art, and I know we all do. So I think that's probably the hardest thing.
The hardest thing for me is my memory. At 60 plus years old, I won't say how old, but 60 plus, I don't remember a lot of things. And I've had a lot of experiences all over the Caribbean. And I can remember, how I felt at the time that I was in Eleuthera or Cozumel or wherever. And I just go with that more than anything. And I remember some of the characters, of course. The characters are, some of the most colorful characters you'll ever meet. And then I go down to the Keys all the time, and that's where the majority of mine are based.
I guess for me, the challenge is to make sure you get it right, because if you get it wrong, there'll be somebody who's been diving in that same area will say, no, you didn't describe that reef right. That isn't what happens in that reef. Or it doesn't look like that. And so you want to make sure you have your facts straight.
I would agree. I think that getting your facts straight is point. I've got in my Ellie series, she's an ex special ops who comes back home, and so looking back on her career, getting that right. When you're in the Caribbean, my most recent book, I've got Ryan Savage diving off of Key Largo at Spiegel Grove and at the wreck out there, and so just doing the right research to make sure that people who know better, I feel like you didn't cheat them by skimping on the details and getting the details wrong, that you care enough about the story to get it right.
Yeah, call me Jack if you want to know about the Spiegel Grove. I've been around most of it.
Terrific.
I think I spend more time mapping out the routes that Chase takes in his boat than I do in my own boat to make sure I'm going the right places. I'll spend more time. I've Google Maps, Active Captain, Garmin up, trying to make sure I've got, all the coordinates right and the right, is it going to take this long to get from this island to this island?
Nautical charts online is your friend.
Yes. Yes.
Measure distance. It's all right there. But for a lot of us, it's being there and experiencing it is the main part of it. I mean, it's like who was it said it? Tom Tuke says, "Never describe the ocean if you've never seen it." And I say that all the time. Don't write about things you don't know. It just doesn't ring true.
That's also a line in the Jimmy Buffett song too. But.
Exactly. Don't describe a Kiss concert unless you've been there.
I just have to say how out of place I feel with all you boat guys. I once had a canoe when I was it sank, and so did my nautical career. What I do like is everybody's hoisting glasses, rum, vodka, beer, whatever the hell it is. So we're a community.
Tom, you have more knowledge of boats than I do, so.
Good to hear.
Don Rich asks, how often do you use Google Earth? And I've got a great story for that. In book 9, which takes place right here in Beaufort, I was at the part where Jesse and his crew were about to take down the bad guys, and it was going to take place at Waterfront Park. And so I went on Google Earth and went to the satellite view, and I'm looking at it, and I'm okay. I got to have this guy here and this guy over here, and dumbass, it's right across the river. So I jumped in my truck, drove over there, and I'm walking around with a voice recorder describing things that weren't happening, and people are looking at me like, weird.
What is this?
That's a great story. Don, that's a good question. Don's actually a good friend of mine. I've been to his house. We went on a summer trip a couple years ago. He's a good man, great writer. And I don't write a book without Google Earth being up, because you want to get the details right. And so you're dragging, you're looking, you're dragging your mouse over to map the mileage and making sure it's right, and you calculating the distance. And it's a fun part of riding, it's a fun part of riding is getting the details. And my characters, especially Ryan, he's been all over the world, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot sometimes as you're writing your own book, things that you didn't know that sometimes they end up in the story.
John Cunningham just signed on to YouTube. Hey, John. I thought you were going to join us here. Did you? No, you're not getting into Key West until tomorrow, right? He'll answer in a few minutes. There's a time delay.
Yeah. I have a fun Google Earth story. So all my stories are based in Cayman, but I do other locations. But in Cayman is a place my wife and I, Cheryl, have been going there for 20 years, and we know it pretty well. So I know the roads and where the areas are and what's going on in various areas. But we have quite a few friends there. So when I was writing Bloody Bay Rum Club, I'm on Google Earth and I'm zoomed in, and they're actually on AJ and Nora are on a motorcycle, a Ducati, and they're kind of racing, trying to get away from a guy. And I take them down on this kind of dirt road, and this is perfect area that's by the ocean. I'm on Google Earth zooming in. I have no idea what it is. It's in an area in West Bay that I know, but I don't know what this is. And it looks like it's maybe a storage yard, and there's these big boxes, like they might be containers or something. And I got on WhatsApp and got hold of a friend of mine, Casey Keller, who's brilliant. We used to dive with her and her husband. She now works for the DOE, Department of Environment there. And she's my like Caymanpedia, if I need to know anything detail about Cayman. So I WhatsApp her and I'm like, hey, what do you know what this is? And I send her a screenshot of this thing. She goes, no, but I'm in West Bay. I'll go by there. So she drives over there. She's in a DOE truck, and pulls in. She goes, you won't believe what this is. And she sends me a picture. It's a cemetery. So in the Caribbean, I'm sure you guys all know that they don't, bury them underground. They put them in, concrete above, because otherwise they'll float up at some point anyway. So that's what it is. And all these things I thought were storage boxes or something, they're graves. Yeah, so it's like, perfect. Okay, they ride by a cemetery and get to the beach.
That's cool.
Do we have any other questions from YouTube?
Let's see. John says he's not sure how to join. I just straightened him out on that.
Okay.
And Don Rich says, thanks, Jack. The check's in the mail. And
Just so our viewers know, Don Rich is an author of the Coastal Adventure series, and he recently reached out to all of us asking if we wouldn't mind one of his characters killing one of us, as in us, the writers, the actual people.
Yeah.
He's got a serial writer killer.
Yeah.
And how many people volunteered, Nick?
Yeah. I don't think anyone didn't.
I will.
I didn't.
Everyone did.
I'm in my 70s anyway. What the hell?
My wife's on the account, and
Volunteers.
she volunteered me. And then she said, I promise, Don, we're not having marriage problems.
Yeah, we didn't believe her. Yeah. He had to get a bigger boat for his story just to put everybody, all the authors on, to kill them all at the same time.
That's it. Well, one of us might need to be a head trauma with a coconut.
So, Nick Harvey, you alluded to something earlier about a collaboration or something.
I did. Are you going to tell us about it?
No, you go ahead. You got the articulation. I talk like a hillbilly.
Maybe I talk like an English hillbilly. You don't know, do you? You only know Cornish people, don't you? So we were on a Zoom call probably a month ago or so, and it was Wayne, Hicknick, Britnick, and John Cunningham. And we were
Who
talking
just
about-
now joined us. Hey, John.
Hey, John, what's up?
Hey, everybody.
I'm
How's it
about
going?
to give up the story here. So,
Do it.
so we were talking about Tropical Authors, which I think most of you know is a website and a group that we have of authors that write in the tropical environments, and we all try and help each other and promote each other. And we were talking about ways that we might be able to get a further reach and more subscribers and stuff. And we came up with this idea: hey, we should we should write a novella, and maybe the group of us could do a piece each. And we were all busy writing in the midst of writing. I think Wayne was writing Steady at the time, and I'm not sure Nick was narrating 16 books, and I was in the middle of, or actually just starting a book. And but I couldn't get the idea out of my head after we got off the Zoom call, and it bothered me so much. I kind of thought of a bit of an idea, and we talked about putting it through all our characters' worlds. And so I kicked it off and wrote the first part of it and sent it to Nick Sullivan, who said, I'm so busy. I'll read it when I can. It's probably going to be next week when I'm traveling, and maybe next month I can work on it. And then about 24 hours later, he called me back and go, okay, this is kind of cool. He said, yes, I've got some ideas. And he wrote his part in about a week. And then Cunningham did the same thing. He was busy in Key West. What were you doing down there, John? I think you were fishing, you were diving, you were eating out every night. You were slam busy, so you couldn't get to it.
Up to no good for sure.
Yeah. And so about a week later, he got up to Virginia where he has a place. And then he read it, and he got on a Zoom call with us and said, okay, let's, I got some ideas. What should we do with this and this and this? And then Wayne got it about a week later, and Wayne just brought the story home. So it's written in 4 parts, 4 authors, and it's a protagonist that spends time in each sort of island or where our characters live and interacts with our characters. And it's a fun story, and Wayne did a killer job bringing it home, and the action escalates. By the time I read through Wayne's one, I'm like, well, my bit's boring now. It escalates, like it goes, Wayne's guy gets on his comms and starts talking to satellites and people and helicopters and planes and boats. And I'm like,
it is just a page turner. I mean, it just, there's no way anybody can start reading this and not finish it in one sitting. It's just that gripping. It just one thing after another, boom, 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 all this happening. And it was so much fun writing it.
It's so cool.
I have to say it was, I think when I was writing you guys, it was like, this is like multiple climaxes, because every of the 4 authors involved was like writing a climax to a short story. And it was, I think I've never written faster in my life, because I was so inspired with what Nick did, and knowing what Wayne would do, which actually blew away my expectations on what he ultimately did. But I think I was so engrossed in that story. I think it was the fastest 8,000 words I've ever written.
I can guarantee you, I did 8,000 words in 3.5 days. And it's like, I couldn't stop.
Question.
And I'm writing 2 other books at the same time, and they really need, because they're the ones that make the money.
You guys about a 4-way collaboration. How is it possible to not, just critique the hell out of that line's not right, that character is not. How do you do that and make it all work together? That would be. I'm hats off to you, and I commend you. But it seems like a hell of a job.
Well, we each did each part separately.
Yeah.
And then passed it on to the next person. And then that person read it and then added to it. And the next person added to it. And then finally, when I finished, I put it up on Google Docs. And that way all 4 of us could go through and reread it and change and get everything lined up. And it turned out really, really good, I think.
But what Britnick did was he set us up with a sort of an everyman character that was not, it was new to all of us, not tied to any one thing. So you were following, and it was wonderful, all this talk about first person. I've never written in first person, and I got to write in first person, people looking at my characters. I thought that's cool.
It is so cool.
So no one was really writing other people's characters. It was following this people through, and I love it. And we're hoping this does very well, and then we can talk to all the other, I think we have 35 tropical authors now. We're going to be adding 2 more, and we were thinking, well, why not do a bunch of these? So we've got a main title, and then it's going to be a tropical authors novella.
When are we going to see this book, Nick? Because I'm sitting in the Bahamas needing something to read.
Well, you could beta read it shortly. How long are you there?
Oh yeah, everybody in
I've
Tropical
never,
Authors is going to beta read it.
I'm here for a month. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'll get it.
Yeah, I figured probably.
Sounds good.
See, the thing is, because we want to avoid the income, the tax liability. So what we're going to do, I've already gone into a partnership with somebody else and for my publishing company, Down Island Press, but I want to keep my books separate from that. So rather than publish it under my account, I have to create a new KDP account, a new Barnes & Noble account, new Kobo account, all of these new accounts under the Down Island Press name. And so before I can do that, I have to have a bank account. Before I can get the bank account, I have to have the county business license. So I went to the county office today, and of course they're closed. And but it should be, I'm thinking August. It'll probably go on pre-order next week.
Well,
Use
once
one of
Wayne's
your
got
offshore
that.
accounts.
What's that?
Use one of your many offshore accounts, Wayne.
Oh.
You could.
No, I want to. That's the thing. I want to keep the money separated.
All right.
So that way I have no tax liability. Down Island Press does. And whatever income comes in, I guarantee Down Island Press is going to spend more money than the income. So it's going to be a loss.
So I mean, to answer that question of a minute ago, I thought what was really cool is writing, with three great authors and doing and participating in that. It really wasn't about jumping on each other's style or what was being said. It was about keeping the facts straight and then letting each person write their character and how they would. We didn't give any guidance. There was no outlining, no anything on what happens next. It gets to you and your character, and it's like, all right, now you run with it and hand it off to the next person. So, I mean, that's what kind of made it really fun and exciting. There was really, it was all kind of a la prima, if you will. You sit down and you make it happen. And
What were the
that's what to
three
me was
rules,
super
John?
fun.
What were the three rules, John? You remember the three rules?
No,
There's only
Nick, you'll have to
three.
tell me.
Don't kill Nathan because
Yeah,
he's the
right.
first person protagonist. Don't
The
kill
story
Grace.
ends there.
Don't kill Grace because that's who he's looking for, and don't kill the dog. So there was a dog in the story at the beginning. Never kill the dog. And then when it got to Wayne, so we did a Zoom call with each of us. When I'd written my part, I got on with Nick. He read it, and then we Zoom called and talked about the breadcrumbs in the story. And then we did the same thing with John when Nick had done his part and Zoomed with John. And then we did the same thing with Wayne. And Wayne only had two rules: don't kill Nathan, and don't kill the dog, because it was up to him. Whatever he did from there, he could bring in planes.
Yeah, they left it up to me to decide whether the wife was in on the caper or she was just an innocent victim.
Mhm.
And it worked out. It worked out really cool.
Indeed.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you
so that-
guys, the rest of you guys need to get together and do the same thing. It was just so much fun and it clicked so well. Of course,
That
we
sounds
all
fun.
we all know each other's characters so well. So, but yeah, like John and Nick said, or Nick squared, writing first person describing your character, it was so much fun because you're not able to do that when you actually write first person from your protagonist's point of view. You can't say Jesse can't, he can't just come right out and say, "Oh, I'm a good looking man," but the protagonist in the book can say, "Yeah, he's a big guy."
Well, we've got a lot of folks here who write things set in the Palm Beach area, so I could easily see a 4-pack mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many options, and people can do more than one. I'm really hoping, and we might be able to do different things with it. Audible has Audible Originals, which they really are looking for new material. So that's something we might approach once we have a few of these in the bag.
We set it up as we called it a tropical authors novella and didn't number it. So it's called Graceless, by the way, is the title, and the subtitle is Tropical Authors Novella. And the thought was down the road we can, if we do get guys who are interested, guys or girls, I should say, who are interested in collaborating, doing the same thing, then it will give it the same moniker, so we can build a series, although they're not a numbered series, so people can jump in at any time. And at some point down the road, we'll probably offer them up as incentives to subscribe and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think as the guy said, the goal is not to make money for us individually. It's to bring attention to tropical authors and to, bring in additional subscribers and things like that. So it would behoove all of us to really kind of jump on board with that and do everything we kind of promote our group and our genre. And that's what kind of just sets you free and makes it fun. And, it's really kind of for the greater good. So hopefully, whether the team needs to help try to facilitate additional, versions of it. But hopefully people will be inspired to want to do this. So really a lot of fun.
And we're going to price it really low. It's just going to be 99 cents or free even. And the 99 cents, that's going to make 35 cents royalty. And that will go to Tropical Authors to offset the cost of hosting and the newsletter.
Well, and if it does well enough,
advertising.
we could do something we haven't done, which is run flat out, Facebook ads and things, directing people for Tropical Authors to try to boost the subscribers, because we essentially have a promo for free.
Free promo tool.
What on earth is that?
That's a dog. Someone's got a dog.
That's a
I think I'm being
terrifying
asked to
dog.
leave.
Don't shoot the dog.
Right? Exactly.
Well, let's see. Does anyone want to tell us about something new that they've got coming? Someone told me about there were 2 new series coming out, and I feel like we covered one and not the other. Help me out. Who was it?
I have a new series that I've been writing, and I'm actually now thinking about throwing it in the garbage and shelving it, because you guys are very intimidating with all your diving stories. My main series takes place in West Palm, which is the east coast of Florida. And I have a new series that's taken place on the Gulf side of Florida. And I actually fictionalized the island because I wanted to do some things that I don't feel like I can do in a real place. So it's around the Pine Island Captiva area, but it's not real. And the main character is a former UK female police diver. So now Nick has got me thinking about whether I should be writing a female character, and all of you great divers have got me wondering whether I should be writing about diving. So I'm going to have to work very hard, I think, to make sure that this book actually rings true. But it's been a lot of fun to write to date, anyway. Just doing something different, a bit different on that side of the. I was going to say the country, but it is kind of like a little country down there, isn't it? And it's just on the other side of Florida. So yeah, I may have that out by the fall if I can sell someone, you guys, on the diving part.
Well, I mean, AJ, in the Tropical Authors group, send it around for a beta read and what have you, and you'll get plenty of help on that stuff. And I think, female diving perspective, Andrew Main is booked his series about a police diver who's female. Have done incredibly well, best-selling around the world. So it's pioneering that. I think it's great for all of us.
Yeah, that's true. The Thomas Mercer backing that can only help those of us who are sniffing at the coattails.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Going over to the mindset of trying to help each other out. I do a monthly newsletter called the Seagram that sometimes you might have seen Nick sticks a little link in there for me to the main Tropical Author newsletter. But be happy to. I always put a link back to Tropical Authors. But if any of you have something that you'd like to publicize or whatever, I'd be happy to put a link in my newsletter. Give me a JPEG of the cover, people click on it, and it goes right to your own website. And it's got over 1,000 readers all over the world, pretty much, with a great open rate. So it's every little bit helps. But I'd be happy to do that.
Paul's data is good. I mean, there's a reason why we put it in every month.
Yeah, but I'd be happy to give anybody some space in there, just for free, just to publicize for each other. If you have anything new coming up, just shoot me a little paragraph what it's about and the JPEG of the cover, and I'll put make the cover a link. Constant Contact lets you do that. You can make a picture a link. They click on the cover, it goes right to your own website. So or wherever you want it to go. You can go to Amazon if you want, but be happy to help out.
That's one of the things about the tropical authors community is all of us. I mean, I've said it over and over again. You can't possibly be an author and be in competition with another author. It takes you 3-4 months to write a book, and a reader sits down and reads it in 4 or 5 hours. There's no way you can be competitive in that situation. So, and the way everybody comes together and helps pimp everybody else, and it's really amazing.
Oh, a fun trick that Britt, Nick, and Wayne and I have all done. I've had Wayne's Jesse character, although he went by a different name, so Boone and Emily don't know who he is. But he showed up at one time, and then, of course, I put in the back matter, if you want to know who this guy is, go check out this book. And then I had them meet AJ when they were on Grand Cayman, and once again, go in the back matter, and curious who this tattooed British dive master was? Here's a link.
And Buck Riley from John's books has appeared in mine twice now. And
vice versa.
Yeah. And Jesse has a new plane too.
Yeah, and Graceless opens up now because everybody's met everybody in our 4 worlds. So it's opened up a lot more down the road.
Yeah, our back matter pages will probably push it from novella to novel.
Yeah.
Wayne, didn't you get Dawn McKenna in there as, what was she? Was it book 5? Was it? Wasn't she like a tarot reader or something like that?
Yeah, she was a Key West fortune teller.
That's right.
And she actually saved Jesse. He was about to get shot, and she clubbed the guy. And she had me in her book, her first book. And
Yeah,
I was this crusty old oysterman.
That's right.
And when
body
her
part.
character came out to the suicide site, there I was crying. It's just so much fun to do that.
I've had Nick Sullivan's in one of mine, not his characters yet. They will be. Boone and Emily will meet in one of the books, but I needed a dive trip where there was only one person on the dive boat. And so this famous author, underwater photographer guy named Nick Sullivan came out on the boat.
I thought, well, you made me an actor too, didn't you? Or I don't remember, but we went with Sully.
Yeah, he's called
me Sully the whole time.
His nickname Sully, yeah, and he's goofy as hell. It's fun.
It's just so much fun to include other authors and other authors' characters in your. Me and Ed Robinson, that's a classic case. Ed told me he had this great idea for sharing characters. He wouldn't tell me what it was, and then I read the book, and he had his character Breeze on his boat, pacing the deck. He was waiting for something to happen. So to kill time, he picks up a paperback to find out what Jesse McDermott's up to. He made my fictional character a fictional character in his fiction.
That's going meta. That's going meta.
So in my next book, I had Ed and Kim Robinson arrive at the Rusty Anchor and made them real characters, a novelist and his wife, aboard the Leap of Faith. And they were served by Jesse, who is the fictional character that his fictional character was reading about.
Oh,
Well, hey,
pretty
we all
complex.
agree that we're gonna write a scene in our next book. Just all of us write a scene with Wayne Stennett crying.
Hey, so
I'm
if
on board with
Don
that.
Rich is watching, right? So Don Rich is killing off all the authors. I don't know if Wayne gave his permission yet, but
No, I didn't. No.
no, well, you can't because Wayne Stennett is going to be standing there crying over the boat that exploded.
There you go. There you go.
Don, if you don't do that, you are out of the fan club.
So rule 3 is don't kill the dog, and rule 4 is don't kill Wayne Stennett. Is that the rule?
Tell the dog to cry over the dog. He'll cry over it. There you go.
Yeah.
well, the hard part about combining all of our characters together, as I keep telling, Britt, Nick, and Nick, that Buck Riley wants to meet, Emily and AJ, and that could not go well potentially, or maybe Charity with Wayne. All right, we gotta watch it. That we create problems.
We need to get Charity and AJ together. I mean, Charity's home base is Grand Cayman.
Yep.
So that's definitely doable.
Charity and
Just the
Nora
same
would be-
way, Nick, just the same way y'all did when Boone and Emily went to the Cayman Islands and ran
Yeah.
into AJ at a bar.
Yeah, Charity and Nora would be a pretty lethal combination.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Nick had Boone and Emily stay at my condo in Cozumel last time, so that was a nice touch.
And in Graceless, they're there again.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it gets a double hit.
he gave us all the address too, Paul. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Next time, come on down and get some inspiration. That's great.
Okay, we're into overtime now. Let's
All right.
see. I don't see any more questions. Oh, Cheryl wants to know who the next four are going to be. The next four authors.
Yeah, look what Don put
Novella.
after that.
I think it really should be Palm Beach. I mean, there's so many of you here that write about Palm Beach.
Yeah, Don added after that comment by Cheryl, who I might know, that there's 14 authors that can't write another book because he just killed them all.
So there's 14?
Very good.
That's mass murder.
Yep.
It is.
Jonestown.
Well, we were suggesting it be an author cruise that has a disaster occur in the engine room.
All right. Well, like I said, we're in overtime, and my wife
All right.
is just about to put dinner on the table. So we are going to proceed to close here. I want to thank all you guys for being on here. And I just realized we don't have any ladies with us. Next time we do this, a big group like this, we need to give some equal time.
We emailed everybody. These are the ones that said yes.
Yep.
But we will do best. Do
You need to
better
get
next time.
Niles on. You need to get Niles on board. Just don't put coffee in her hand.
Anyway, I'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, tropicalauthors.com, our biggest sponsor, Pirate Radio, Down Island Press, and who am I missing? Nick? Well, if I miss somebody, my apologies. So anyway, it's been great talking to y'all, and we'll get together again on the Coastal Authors page. Yeah.
Enjoyed it very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Gentlemen, it's been a
everybody.
pleasure.
Good night,
Great
everybody.
seeing everybody.